Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Road Atlanta, where it is a little bit soggy and rainy at the moment. This is David Anderson, and I will be joined shortly here by Ryan Thompson, and we are extremely happy, to be back together with everybody tonight for our second broadcast of the season with the Champion Motorsports iRacing Wednesday night series. You can see the cars are already out on the track doing a little bit of qualifying here, which is really awesome. So good to see another strong field that we're going to have here tonight at Road Atlanta, and a little bit longer race than the last one that we did as well, where we are going to have, I believe, 75 minutes of racing tonight, and they're doing a 20-minute qualifying, so we'll be with you for quite a while. Having to qualify in the rain as well. Both sets of cars, it's a split qualifying, so I believe, if I am not mistaken, that the GT3 cars is what we're seeing out on the track right now, and you can see some of them around, and a little bit of sun trying to peek through, and I think we may be in a situation weather-wise a little bit later where we will have drying conditions potentially as well in this race. So for now, we're just sort of taking a look at some of the scenic views here at Road Atlanta. We'll get in here in just a moment and start riding along with some of these guys as they get some laps going. In fact, let's do that now. We're riding along here with Brett Stevens. Good to see Brett out here tonight in the Longhorn car. Hey, Ryan, is that you?
It is indeed.
Yeah, so good to see Brett out. I was just talking about him. He's one of the first cars out here getting a lap in, it looks like.
And these should be the GT4s.
GT4s, I think, yeah. And apologies, everyone. I think I said GT3, and still shaking off the rust with all of my time away from the broadcast booth here, but. Ryan, these GT4s are, they're interesting, and, I think they are, maybe a little more pleasant than some other cars to drive in the rain. But like anything, you've got to dial in the handling the right way and have a good balanced, wet setup. But I think that they are manageable is probably the best way to say it. Probably a little bit more than the GT3 cars are, just because of the sheer power difference.
Yeah, they are nice and stable with a decent setup. And, yeah, in the right hands, like, as you know, some drivers are just drawn to the wet and excel in wet conditions, and some of us struggle a little bit more.
Yeah, and speaking of Brett, by the way, as we're riding along with him, watching him qualify, he is on the provisional pole right now, and quite a bit faster, Ryan, than anybody else that's turned a lap. He's got a 42.4, 142.4, and second best right now is 2 seconds behind him. So we randomly sort of just came on the air and started talking about Brett because he was one of the cars that we saw out on track, and not only is he out there, he's pretty quick.
Indeed, yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Looks like you're probably going to have some competition from this guy in a GT4, just as JT Tammy. JT is actually in P2 right now, and as I say that, it looks like we may have a new leader in P1. No surprise, it's the Masterworks Mercedes of Kevin Ayers, who was our winner from the last time you and I were on the air together here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah.
Yeah. And last race was at COTA. We were not here on air. In fact, I was lucky enough to be able to race in the event, which was a lot of fun and didn't do too bad, Ryan, I should say. I think I had about a 6th or 7th place finish, so I was pretty happy with that. And it was good to get out there and mix it up with the guys. I think, if anything, it helps me to be a little more prepared to talk about them when we come in here. But I am looking back while we're watching the GT4 cars qualify. That is correct. In fact, Kevin has won the first race at Daytona, and then he finished in P2 at COTA. So he's had 2 consecutive podiums. JT Tammy was the winner last week at COTA, and Kevin comes into tonight with a 4-point lead in the championship over JT. So that's kind of where we stand with regards to some of these cars that we're seeing at the top of the leaderboard already are also the guys that are, of course, up there in the points.
Yeah, we're no doubt going to see some interesting points battles this season. It looks like, Kevin might be one of those drivers that got it dialed in relatively early. But, sometimes you see the other guys catch up as they get that setup dialed and get the handling figured out in their car. So
exactly. And speaking of handling, I think, a little bit on edge right here. We're back on board with JT Tammy, John Taylor Tammy, as you may see his full name. And he's back on pole right now. But, boy, he is really working this steering wheel, Ryan. I mean, you can watch him just really, look at just how he's fiddling with it. It's all about feeling the hands and finding that grip with your feet and your hands, and it all has to come together. But he is really, really quick right now. He's got a 141.5, and he's on a flyer. Kevin Ayers has fallen to P2 with a 141.6, and Brett Stevens with a 141.7 rounds out your top 3 right now. We've got 11 cars that have set a time so far in GT4. And I think, Ryan, keep me honest on this, but I think they're going to have 10 minutes and then the other guys are going out in the GT3s?
That's right. Yep. The GT4s have about 30 seconds left. You may hear my voice on the air. I'm filling in for the admin team tonight as I ask them to clear the track and make way for the GT3s.
Yeah, and finish their lap. So I'll let you do that, and we'll just ride around here with JT as it looks like he's going to take one more flying lap while Ryan takes care of that. As we ride along with JT, he is in the Porsche GT4, which is a really, really cool car. And he has momentarily, by the way, slipped to second place. He's off the track, and we missed him, sadly, but Sean Fleming is up in the pole now with a 140.624, and JT coming to the line. He's about a 10th behind that right now. We're going to see if he can best that.
You don't say. Sean Fleming, let me know privately, and I hope I'm not violating any confidence here. I don't think I am. To let me know that he was, feeling a little bit rusty and was going to try to stay out of trouble tonight. So I think he's done that already.
I think he has too. And there's your pole sitters. Actually, we just rode with him. JT Tammy actually does take the pole, and he goes back in front of Sean with a 140.240. What a just phenomenal lap for JT. Sean Fleming looks like he will be in second place with a 140.624. This is all unofficial, of course. Mark Johnson sneaks into the third spot with a 141.033. Drew Lidke in fourth, Kevin Ayers in fifth, and Brett Stevens falls down to sixth position. But I tell you what, Ryan, you could, with all, it looks like 12 of the 13 GT4s got a lap in. And, wow, they were, you could almost throw a blanket over the top 7 or 8 of them. They were all so similarly timed. I think that's going to make for a really, really good race.
Yep. It'd be a wet blanket, but you could do it.
Yeah, so let's see. We've got our GT3s coming out now and getting ready to get out on the track. So let's see who we can't maybe ride with. I'll pick someone here. How about our good buddy Christian Youngwall? Believe this is him here in this purple car. that we're riding with. Christian, wow, and a lot of traffic here. Looks like the GT3s, which of course, Ryan, we've got double the amount of GT3s than we do the GT4s. But they all, nobody waited and gave each other any space. They all decided to come out here together and flood the track. No pun intended. And that's just got to be so challenging. Look at the visibility and the lack thereof with all this spray is just insane.
Yeah, this isn't even the bad spray yet, but it's tough enough.
It really is. And times are starting to come in provisionally. We've got Ricardo Delgado on pole. Christian Youngwall, who we just saw, or who we're riding along with now, is in P5. Miguel Alcrudo, that is a different Miguel than Mikel Colon, and I'll go to him now. Miguel Alcrudo, great to see him here. Longtime member of CMS, has run with us quite a bit in the past, and has been away for a while, so it's good to see Miguel out here as we ride along with him. I believe he is in this, and flashing his lights in qualifying, Ryan. Yeah, he's in this 00. That's a Corvette, I believe, if I'm got my car knowledge correct.
Yep, it's a Chevy.
And he's pulling off. He's not happy. You know what I think he's doing here, Ryan, is Miguel Alcrudo, as we ride with him, continue to ride with him, I think he just sort of backed out of it, gave up the lap to try to give himself a little bit of space.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, everybody just jumped out of the pits right at the 10-minute mark.
They did, yeah. You didn't see any, a little bit surprised. There was no sort of strategy, of waiting. But let's get inside in the cockpit of one of these GT3 cars. This is Miguel Alcrudo, not Miguel Colon. Speaking of Miguel Colon, he has moved up into provisional pole. But we'll see what Alcrudo can do here as he works the wheel. Well, look at how busy he is in this thing, Ryan. And I will say to those of you tuning in, I am seeing on my end, hopefully you're not seeing it, but if you are, I am seeing a very, very small amount of micro stuttering, and I think what's happening here is we're just testing the limits of all these graphics and broadcast tools and everything we have going at once with this rain. So hopefully it is not too much of a distraction. I'll see if there's anything I can do to work on it a little bit as we continue to ride along with Miguel. Close down a few other things on my machine here that it could be possibly taking up a little bit of space. RAM-wise.
Right. He is working that wheel.
He really is.
And you can see that spray. He's not even in it yet, but it's already, blocking about a third of his vision sometimes.
Hopefully that'll fix things a little bit. I realized I had a couple extra programs running from earlier of some other things that I was doing. Ooh, a car off right in front of him. Wow. So, by the way, that run that we just watched him drive this lap, and he's looks like he's going to continue to go here, but he's up to P2.
And he just about loses it.
He really does. Watching inside that cockpit, I think we want to go back to that. It's just so much of more of a realistic what he's dealing with here, but Miguel is on a flyer. This is another hot lap. We're going to stay with him, but the other Miguel Colon, he got plenty of airtime from us in qualifying last week. The provisional pole sitter right now with a 132.579. Miguel Alcrudo with a 132.587 is less than a tenth behind him, and this is quite impressive hand and footwork, isn't it?
Very.
Ryan, are you seeing a little stutter, or is it just me?
No, I'm seeing it. It'll freeze for about half a second every 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, so we are aware of it. If anybody's tuned in here, and we'll see if we can't continue to wrench on things here as we get going. It's we're flying the plane as we build it a little bit.
As you do.
And here he comes. Can he get that pole position? You bet he can. Ryan, that's a 131.932, almost 7/10 faster than anyone else out there. Wow, this man has been, and he's going to go again, I think.
That's an incredible drive to knock that much time off.
All right, let's take a look at Miguel Colon. Here's Miguel just up ahead a little bit. And the other Miguel, in fact, they're right together on the track. This is the two of them here. And we're going to stay with this, guys, because these are our top two that are kind of just trading lap times right now. Looks like Miguel Colon gets a little squirrely there. We'll have to see if that cost him any time. And then that's Miguel Alcrudo right behind him. And they're coming up. They may be able to get one more lap in, if I'm looking at this correctly. Coming down the hill, this is really treacherous in dry conditions down here at the bottom of the hill, but even more so in these wet conditions.
Yeah, you get pretty light on the back wheels.
Yeah, ooh, this is a good shot. Okay, Miguel Colon comes across. He does not improve. In fact, he went slower. Miguel Alcrudo does improve and comes across with a 31.795. So provisionally, unless someone takes it away from him, that is going to be our pole sitter. Still a few cars out here. This is Tim Collier, who we're hoping has a little bit better start to his race than he did at Daytona. Remember, Ryan, we saw Tim riding around with no bumper. Boy, look at this. Beating. Oh, my goodness.
Whoa.
Whoa, what in the hell happened there? That was almost like they were beating and banging.
Not usually the plan in quality.
Yeah, boy, that was interesting. It looks like checkered flag is flying. We've got a few cars out on the track still.
Yep, and I will just put on my other hat momentarily, and I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes.
Sounds good. And I am going to be quiet here for just a minute as we make the transition, folks, because we were noticing just a slight bit of micro stutter. Apologies in advance if it's not something that I could fix on the fly. Hopefully it will not be too much of a distraction. Again, I think even with these high-powered computers that Ryan and I and the team use for these events, it is sometimes, with all the innovation and everything that they continue to make in iRacing and gaming in general, sometimes it's just hard to keep up. And the Tempest weather system being, this is, I believe, for me personally, the first race that I have broadcast with the Tempest racing system. So as the cars get ready to line up and get ready to go racing, I do want to also share a quick view of where we are in the GT3 standings as well as the 50 plus standings. Ryan and I will try to get some visuals on these. We just have not had time yet to where we can show these on the screen like you guys have become accustomed to. But for now, it'll just be me talking through it. In our GT3 category, Miguel Colon is the points leader. He comes in with 2 podiums in a row, including a win. Jose Diolio, who I believe is his teammate, is in P2. Christian Youngwall in P3. The two of them are tied, only 7 points back. Ed Nelson and John Majorbanks round out the top 5. We have had 36 cars in the GT3 category. We talked about GT4 a little while ago. One other group that we want to talk about is our 50 plus standings. So I believe this is combined between the two categories this season. So whether you're GT3 or GT4, I believe you're eligible for this single set of standings. So if I have that wrong and somebody knows, please let me know. But Drew Lidke comes in leading that with 78 points. Gabriel Albano in P2 with 74. Ed Nelson, P3 with 72 points. Peter Hebron, P4, and Christian Rava and Mike Tyler are tied for 5th position with 65 points. So a very, very tight battle there as well. So cars are gridding up. We're getting ready to go racing here. And it looks, at least for the moment, as we've switched over to gridding, that it is no longer raining at the moment. So that is a good sign. We will get on board here with our leader as they grid up. And again, Ryan Thompson will be back with me here in a moment. Ryan is having to help. We do a lot of things here at CMS, and tonight one of our other, we have 2 primary admins for this series, Warren McCrary and Mike Parker. I want to thank them for their tremendous work with this series, but neither one of them were available tonight. And so, being the team that we are, Ryan and I are not only broadcasting, but we are also covering for them a little bit from the administration side of things. So cars are rolling off, lights are on, which makes me wonder if this race is going to go dark and be at night, or if this is just overcast conditions and the lights are on because of it. So I'll get Ryan to do a little checking for me when he gets back on what time of day it is right now, because I am not able to easily see that right now. And I think I have, at least for the moment, made some of the graphical issues better, so I don't want to fiddle with too much as they get going here.
This is
yeah.
supposed to be a 5 p.m. Session time for the race start. So
Okay.
I'm guessing this is just overcast, but we may get a little bit of sunset.
It might. It's the East Coast, maybe near the end of the race, I'm thinking, Ryan. We could see that.
Yep.
While they're going around, let's also come back here and look at our GT4 field. This is GT4. JT Tammy, congratulations to him on the pole. Sean Fleming in 2nd. Mark Johnson in 3rd. As you see these cars, Drew Lidke in 4th in the green car. And so they are back about 10 or 15 seconds behind the GT3s. We will pick up the start of the GT3 field, though. Again, Miguel Alcrudo in P2, Miguel Colon. Armando Arenas ends up in P3. That was a late addition to the podium in the qualifying, who is also apparently a teammate of Miguel Alcrudo, because their cars look just almost identical, Ryan. I'm excited.
Yep. We're getting ready to go green here pretty soon.
Yep, and as Ryan and I will talk a little bit more, but as we get ready to go green, let us just quickly thank our sponsors for the series. You see them here on our scene on the Twitch stream. Simrace247.com, Darren and team, thank you so much for your long-time partnership with CMS. We adore you guys. We are so happy to be partners. And VPG Sim. Check them out at vpgsim.co.uk. They are the title sponsor for the series this season, and we want to thank Manny and his team, and they are giving away some really cool prizes with a couple of their wheels in this event. So Ryan, pace car's pulling off. Here they go. Looks like the sun is trying to come out a little bit here. Boy, what a great start for Miguel Alcrudo. He wastes no time. They're going 4 wide, Ryan, down into turn 1 here.
Oh, my.
Looks like they think better of it a little bit. And everybody, at least from what I can tell, gets cleanly up the hill. Let's go back and check our start of GT4. Here's GT4 coming through as well. This is JT Tammy.
Oh, David, we've had some trouble with our friend Tim Collier.
Oh, we have. I'll go get a look at that real quick. But the GT4s do look to have gotten away fairly clean, so that is a good thing. Let's see if we can figure out what has happened to our friend Tim Collier. Ryan, let me go look. Here it is. Oh, he just lost it on his own, and then a pirouette move of the car behind him
Oh no.
which I think was Christian Akendo. It does not. Ryan, I think Tim stalled the car. He's having to let the entire GT4 field go around. Look at them. They're still just both. That's such a defeating feeling.
Yeah, there's nothing
Oh,
you
and
can
there's
do.
damage on the Mercedes, too. You could see the damage there,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Otherwise, looks like we got away fairly clean. These are our leaders up front. This is Miguel Colon, who we ride on board with, and he is chasing down Miguel Alcrudo. The good news is, if you are a Christian Okendo fan or a Tim Collier fan or Humberto Roca, I think he may have been residually caught up in that as well. All three of those drivers do have a fast repair, and they will have the opportunity to get to the pits, get their car fixed. It's a long race, 75 minutes tonight, and they'll be able to get back out there and make a recovery drive. So we know all those drivers well, and we know they're very capable of doing it. So we'll check back in on them a little bit later. Meanwhile,
The sun is bright now.
yeah, it is. Coming out of that corner, I could hardly see it. It looks like Miguel Alcrudo, though, has pulled off a nice little gap here to start. It's really good to see Miguel back. I'm going to talk about him for just a minute. We don't normally get into the bio stuff, just right away this early into a race, but I've not seen Miguel in a CMS race that I can recall in 6 months to a year. But, and as I say that, I hope I'm not going to jinx him. He gets really loose, Ryan. Maybe a little bit rusty, but he, and that looks to be his teammate, Armando, behind him, who's now moved into P2. But, Miguel is just such a wonderful person and has some real-life race car experience, has built his own cars, was really kind of one of the first members that we had here at CMS that came from the Latin American, I believe Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. I may have that wrong. He'll have to correct me. But coming from that community, and he's brought so many great sim racers with him to CMS over the years. So just someone that we really look up to. He's a former admin with CMS, and I know he's had some health issues and things like that with his back and other things, and so it's just tremendous to see him out here. And Ryan, you're not kidding. Look at that bright sun as they come over that hill, and that's the most puckering corner on the entire course to begin with.
For sure. Especially when you can't see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we can't see, imagine what they're going through. So we're off to a pretty good start. I'm going to just quickly kind of go through the top 5 here. Let's see where they all are in GT3. Then we'll go over to GT4. So we talked about Miguel. This is Armando Arendis behind him. It looks like they are teammates. I don't know Armando real well, so I look forward to getting to know him. Christian Youngwall is in P3 in this. Is that the Acura? Am I looking at that correct? This purple bluish Acura, Ryan? Or is that an Audi? I think it's an Acura.
I can't tell from this green size I've got here.
It is the Acura. There's the onboard shot. So Christian off to a good start. And it looks like they're sort of, riding along with him here. You can kind of tell the rain is let up a little. Are you able to see anything with regards to a forecast? Is it going to continue to clear? Or do we know?
No, we have no insight into that.
Okay. So at least for now, it was raining quite hard in qualifying, and it is now drying, and you can really see that sun beating down, just staggering as they come across the hill there. John Majorbanks is in 4th place and Richard Delgado in 5th. And aside from the Tim Collier accident, we've had a couple of other isolated things as well. But the Tim Collier and Christian Okendo accident, they've gotten off to a fairly clean start in GT3. So if we check in on GT4, here's our leader. We've got JT Tammy, and he's got, I believe that is a maybe a lapped GT4 between, or a GT3 between him and second place, which is Mark Johnson, who you see here in this car coming at us now. This Mercedes with the black and red, just beautiful Longhorn Racing and Masterworks Agency paint scheme. And there's a car around right in front of Mark. I do think that was a lapped car. But Mark Johnson in P2, so he's off to a really strong start. And it looks like that's Tim Collier behind him. So, Ryan, Tim is mired in this GT4 traffic. That's going to make it even harder on him to remain patient, as frustrated as he's got to be that happening. Both times you and I have broadcasted, he's probably about done hearing our voices talk about him at this point.
Yeah, it's not the coverage you want when you're in the car.
No, it sure isn't. But with that said, and we do things a little bit differently here. We like to kind of tell the stories and talk about drivers as opposed to just follow the battles. We will, of course, always make sure we follow the battles, but we'll just make sure that everybody can appreciate what a tremendous sim racer that Tim is. So, having a little bit of bad luck the last couple of races that you and I've been here, but I don't know. I know you've known Tim a long time too, Ryan, but I've known him most of my adult life, 30 years at this point, I think. And nobody I trust out on the track more than him.
Yep.
Just a great driver. And let's go ahead and ride on board with him here, as we talk about him and give him kind of the airtime he deserves, because he just hasn't had the luck. When we've seen him on the track this season, it's unfortunately been, broadcaster jinx, right?
Yep. Yeah, Tim's got, that rare quality that you don't see in a lot of drivers, even some with, similar experience levels, but he's got that wisdom of kind of having seen and done it all in sim racing and knows how to handle himself.
Yeah, this is him, by the way, going around the GT4 field as he tries to work his way back up. He's in 21st position right now. You can see that track is drying. Yeah, I learned something from Tim. He was the one I remember, at least for me. I don't know if he coined this phrase or if it came from someone else, but as far as I'm concerned, it's his. He said it's not how fast you can go, it's how long you can go fast, and that really, really stuck with me. So we've got thousands of members at CMS, but this man that we ride along with here is one of the very first, and just has we wouldn't be who we are without him. So I'm looking forward to seeing him jump back up through the field here, Ryan. See if let's you and I check back in on him later, but let's see if he can't turn this thing into a top 15 before it's all said and done.
Sounds good.
I think that would be really good for him. So we'll go back up here now, check in a little bit more on our GT3 class. We ride here with 4th position. This is John Majorbanks. As you see him come right here now in this black and red gray car. It almost looks a little bit, I don't think it is, but it looks a little bit like a Quick Trip convenience store logo, but I think it's a different company that he's got on the side of this thing. John and P4 as they come around, trying to keep pace with the Miguel and Armando duo out front. This group here is, 3rd, 4th position, but they are about 8 seconds off already, which just kind of goes to show you how, how lap times in the rain. It's truly an equalizer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Looks like we may have we talked about Sean Fleming, and I've got unfortunate news on him, Ryan. You talked to him earlier. This was an issue with him. This was where we saw a little bit earlier. It happened out of the corner of our eye. A good move there by Drew Lidke to miss him. But look at him trying to get this thing going again. It's almost like he's stuck.
Well, that grass would be slick.
Yeah, so it seems like, this is the second driver, and again, just like what happened to Collier, having to wait for damn near the entire field to go by before he was able to get this thing back up to speed.
Yep.
So here he is now live, and he's going again, but boy, lost a ton of time.
But this is what you see from a CMS driver, that that heads-up driving of waiting on the rejoins, making sure you're doing it safely, and prioritizing the safety of everybody on the track.
Absolutely. I'm actually glad you said that, because I think kudos there to Sean, and Tim and Christian Okendo, who we saw around earlier. All three of them kept both feet on the brake, and they waited, and they were patient, and you just don't see that everywhere. And as we see another Mercedes off there, it's slick out there, Ryan. I tell you, it's these guys have got their hands full for sure.
Yep. Yeah, we're seeing, and when the track dries up like this, you see drivers, they made their tire choice, and they've got to live with it to a certain extent if they want to make their pit window, and there are going to be some wet sections on the track that can really catch you out.
That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't know if you're able to check and if we even have this data or if it's even working, because I know we had some technical issues last time, but I did post a link to the live timing, and I'm curious if that live timing will give you and I any data on tire compound, or if that's something for a future race I could add into the overlay, because I'd like to know who's on dries and who's on wets. I imagine we've probably got a little bit of both.
Let me. I'll take a look and get back to you.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, we'll check in here. This is Kevin Ayers. Kevin really dominated the last GT4 win that we were able to cover at Daytona, and he's riding around in P3 right now. He had a podium last week at COTA as well. He's chasing Mark Johnson ahead. And I tell you, with Kevin, he brought sponsorship on board with Masterworks Agency, and Masterworks, I know, was really privileged to work with him and him with them, and he has really taken that seriously and has upped his game, because, and we mean this in the nicest of ways, I think Kevin could be someone we could talk about as one of the most improved drivers in the series. Went from kind of a mid packer, I'd say upper middle pack at that, on the higher end of the mid pack, to now where he's competing for wins. And boy, he's got his handful with a bunch of traffic behind him as the GT3s are starting to come through and lap some of the GT4s. In fact, I think this is the leader, Miguel Alcarudo, right on him to make a lap at this point. Actually, that's our Hernando Arendis. Miguel's already gone by, but this is touch and go, and we're going to have to pay attention to this. This is Christian Youngwall. We're going to stay with these two GT3s. He is all over the back of Armando. Wow.
That looked like a white knuckle pass.
It did. Let's ride along with him on board. I don't know if you were able to check the weather stuff, the weather or tire stuff, if we got any data out of that, but curious what you found, if anything.
If it's accurate, what I'm seeing here is that the entire field is on wet tires right now.
Okay. I think that makes sense. It was pretty dang wet in qualifying, and then this is, again, it's pretty realistic. It feels like real life when we call these races, but it was there was a little, it is a simulation, and they had a time gap, I think, of just a little bit of time between the time that they qualified and the time that the race started. That was configured by the admins. And so I think what they're dealing with now, at least the best we can tell, is started on a wet track, but it's probably going to continue to dry, Ryan, if I'm guessing right, and because we're seeing that sun peak out, and some of them are going to have a decision here of when to come in and change tire compound.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a calculation. There's still quite a bit of spray coming up in some sections, But there are other sections that look, at least visually, pretty dry to me. At least the dry line already. If you go offline, you're going to get in trouble because that's still pretty wet in some spots. But like, can you make it to your pit window, or do you need another stop? And is it going to rain again?
Yeah, and by the way, Ryan, I am getting reports here of a Miguel Colon issue. Here it is.
Oh.
Let's go back and look at this in real time. There's that turn 1 that we've seen. This is the third incident we've seen in turn 1. This tells me that is just a tumultuous area of the track. And look, up ahead, another car. And you know what it is coming around into that turn 1, it goes from sort of, sweeping downhill, then you climb a hill. And I think what the guys are seeing is a lot of water runoff, and it's catching them out from what I can tell here.
Yep. That was an impressive save by Miguel.
It really was. Sadly for him, he dropped down to 5th position in that, as quick as the other guys are. And, Ryan, I was able on the timing here on my director view to also confirm what I think you're seeing, and I am also showing the entire field on wet tires.
Okay, yeah, so that must be it. And it does make sense.
It does. Ryan, if we haven't already, let's also make sure that you and I both take a look at our chat on Twitch and see if we get any engagement there, if anybody wants to talk to us. And one of the things that we would also love feedback on is both of us have, since the last time we've been broadcasting, we have been, trying to make some improvements to our computers and things like that. So it would help us to know how we sound and how things look, and if we need to turn anything up or turn anything down. There's no better way than to know that than to get the feedback from the audience as we make improvements.
There is no microphone on Earth that can do anything for my Canadian prairie accent, but everything else is fair game, so let me know.
Yeah.
Simon Taggart just wrote in the chat that he's gutted to be missing tonight's race, and we're gutted not to see you out there, Simon.
Yeah, we sure wish he was there. Now, I am seeing another issue I want to check in on here, Ryan. I don't know what has happened. I'm going to try to find it. But I think we may have lost Brett Stevens, and I'm going to go there now. Here's Brett, this blue and black car, and it's in our corner. And this has resulted in another car spin, another pirouette behind him. He towed. He's on, he's on pit road. And I believe that he and the team have called this a day, and he has retired the car, unfortunately. Wow, that's not good. He looked so promising in qualifying.
Yeah.
But that was such
a show you what the tough track, tough conditions they're dealing with out there tonight.
It really does. We're back on board here with our leader overall in the GT3 class, Miguel Alcrudo, and Ryan. This is as dominating as a performance I've seen in a CMS race in a long time. He has a 15-second lead over second place.
Yep.
I mean, the guy is just flying. He ran a 129.7 last time by. Second place car ran almost 2 seconds slower than that. So putting on an absolute clinic in this thing. Let's go back on board with him here for a minute and just watch this man's hands at work. It was we got an opportunity to watch it earlier, and it was very impressive. You can see a dry line is definitely forming, though, Ryan. You can kind of see in a few places. I want to be in the cockpit with him as he comes through that corner 1 and see what you and I can just see there, because, man, that thing is just killing cars.
Yeah, his inputs to me look a lot smoother here, so maybe a little bit less fighting having to be done.
I think so. Yeah, and you can definitely see a more of a drier line. Now here comes the corner where we've seen about 4 or 5 wrecks already.
Yeah.
It's down in here. Yeah, I see it's wet there on the inside. And look, and even he got squirrely going through there.
Yeah. Oh, there's an actual puddle there, so if you hit that, you're toast.
Yeah, you're done. And it's real sketchy through here too. A lot of water still kind of running off the track. Look at the closing rate. This is Mike Tyler in front of him in a GT4. Great job by Mike holding his line there with that GT3 leader breathing down his neck.
Yeah, these are really steady hands right now compared to what he had to do in qualifying.
Absolutely. I mean, in qualifying, the guy was just like on the absolute ragged edge, right?
Yeah. Yes, I would mark that down to a combination of just dialing his pace back a little for, to make sure he makes it through, and the track seems to be drying out.
Right. And let's face it, this is, one of the beautiful things about CMS is that we welcome all skill levels. So we've got everything from beginners in our leagues and novices to esports pro level drivers, and that's what we're watching here right now. This is a top level sim racer in the world, not just here at CMS, and he is really, every lap he goes by, he's putting another lap on second, another second on second place. So, kind of sneaking up the race a little bit, Ryan. We need to tell him to slow down a little bit. Let's check in on our GT4 field, and let's start with who he just went around, which is Mike Tyler. So here's Mike having a steady race. We've got it's like about 12 or 13 GT4s in the field, and Mike is currently in a very respectable 7th place. So looking really good, and he is one of 4 Longhorn Racing team members to start this race. That's a team that I am actually on when I drive. I drive part-time in this series, and really just love the Longhorn guys. And looks like they got 4 of them out here tonight. Well, with one of them unfortunately having retired in Brett Stevens. But Mike currently runs in P7. His teammate just ahead, about 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, is Brian Blanchette. And this is Brian in this orange and blue car. So Brian's obviously had some sort of a trading paints or a livery issue, because we're not showing the Longhorn scheme for him, which I know he intended to run. But Brian having a good run in 6th place here. Zach Sternhagen up in 5th place. Good to see Zach out here, Ryan. I know we haven't had a whole lot of time to talk about him in the first 2 races you and I have done. Just adore Zach. Doing really, really well.
Keeping it tight through the S's there.
Yeah, riding on board with him here a little bit. This is our 5th place GT4. Look at it, just rolling it through the corner here. It's a very different lap than what those GT3s do.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get back in his cockpit and watch him go around just a little bit more. A lot more body roll in these cars. The gearing is a little longer and more not as edgy. This Mercedes is very, kind of low, torquey kind of car. He's going to have to slow it down really early here. And just sort of let it roll through the corner. A little bit of tire scrub there, which you want to try to minimize in this car. Let's see how that turn 1 puddle looks. By the way, that's Miguel Acrudo going around him now. Just ahead, so that is the overall leader you see. Let's look for that puddle again. It's on the inside right.
right at the apex.
Yeah,
pretty
boy.
much.
Ooh, yeah. You do not want to hit that thing. Car coming out of the pits in front of him. So Zach doing a really, really good job here. He is our 5th place GT4. Up the road a little bit ahead of him in this Porsche is Arthur Jaworski. Ryan, I am embarrassed to say I don't know a whole lot about Arthur. I don't know if you do.
He's been with us for I think at least a couple of years, if not more.
Yeah, just kind of
been
a quiet,
regular to the series.
non-assuming kind of. That's the kind of guys we like. Is those
Absolutely.
that just fit in and are out here to have fun, and he is having a terrific run. And I always love anytime I see, and that's Miguel Acrudo again, the overall leader that just run around him. Miguel's making his way through the front runners here in GT4 now. But I love anytime somebody's got one of these Rothman's paint schemes. Such a classic.
Yeah.
Makes you think of the old Can-Am days and whatnot, right?
Yep.
Looking really good, though, for Arthur. So good to see him having a great run. Here's Kevin Ayers. So if it were to stay the way it is now, this man would put together his 3rd podium. And this is the leader now. I believe this is Miguel Alcrudo coming up. So each time we go to one of these guys, the leader is coming up and putting them another lap down. And boy, Kevin had to get a little wide there for Miguel. And look at that, a little bit off the track too, Ryan. From what, yeah.
Keep it not too far off the track.
What I'm seeing though is anything from turn 1 all the way down through these S's is where it's still really, really dicey.
Yeah.
Kevin doing a really nice job. If we go up a little bit ahead, this is on board with Mark Johnson. You can see Miguel going around him now to give you that continued view of Miguel going around the leaders. So, and looks like he's putting a GT3, 21st place GT3 car. That's Omar Escobedo going a lap down in class to Miguel. Miguel not being shy about the headlights. I think I would just want to get out of his way right now. But as we know, the best way you can get out of his way is to just hold your line, right?
Indeed.
So Mark Johnson looking really, really good in P2. But he has got, let's look at the gap between him and JT Tammy. So Mark, just now coming into turn 1, this is Mark. He's making that turn into turn 1. JT Tammy is all the way out of the S's already, Ryan. So he's got a big lead in his class. So both leaders are just dominating. In fact, you could make the argument that JT is dominating the GT4 class more than Miguel is the GT3s.
Yep, he's got a 2-second lead on his lead.
Yeah, he sure does. And in fact, he's for position ahead of a couple of GT3 cars.
That's not how this is supposed to work.
It's not. What are we going to have to slow that man down, right? Let's ride on board with him for a minute. This is I think what this tells me is that this Cayman, I mean, obviously it's in the hands of a really, really good sim racer with JT, but it is such a well-balanced car. I imagine it does pretty well in the rain.
JT at the wheel, it sure does.
It sure does. And let's use JT as our next little story to talk about for those of you that may not know our leader here. By the way, he is going for 2 in a row. He won the race last week at COTA as he's navigating GT3 traffic coming up behind him here. But JT is another longtime member of CMS. He's kind of a jack of all trades is the best way I can describe him. If there's a sim that is worth running, he is there. So he participates in about everything we offer. He's very active in our iRacing series, as you can see here. He's done some races and stints with us on the Champion Motorsports Endurance team to represent the community as a whole. And he also is probably, arguably, Ryan, even more active in our R Factor 2 series.
Yep, he's been extremely active there. I think even a little bit in ACC as well.
ACC, yep. And that's another thing that while we're here, if anyone's tuning in and watching us, either live or on demand, as it looks like that might be Drew Lidke coming to the pits. I'm going to go see if that is him. That is. Looks like this might be our first taker. Well, there's been a few of them on pit road, but I think it's been for various problems and whatnot. Looks like his car is not looking great, Ryan.
It's a little banged up.
Yeah, let's see if he's in for maybe a fast repair. He's in for tires. So I'd be interested for you to tell me if we see him go over to a dry compound. And while we wait on this, I'll just finish my point before. At CMS, there's something for everybody. We're not just an iRacing group. We're community first, and we've got all sorts of sim racing, from rally to iRacing to R Factor to Assetto Corsa Competition, a little bit of everything. We even do fantasy F1 with some of our fantasy sports games and whatnot. So it looks like Drew's running again, and we may have to wait for some data to refresh. But I'm curious if he stayed on a wet or if he's gone over to a. And Ryan, this seems awfully early to meet a pit.
It is a bit early. Still probably good enough to make it through, and he has switched to the dry compound, as have a few other drivers: Leonard Burke, David Kaufman, Bobby Babaletskos, and possibly a couple others.
Yeah, and Jose Diolio here. This is a GT3 that we see coming out of the pits here now. I believe this is one of the first GT3s coming in for dry tires. So things are about to get interesting here. Because there's a lot that these guys are having to process right now. They're having to. So this is Jose coming out, and you'll have to check for me, but I bet you he comes out on a dry tire here. But they're still having to process the changing track conditions. They've got to determine when to get on the new tire. They've got to make sure they've got enough fuel to make it the rest of the way. I know the fuel tanks are limited by the admins. I'm not sure what those specific limitations are this week for this race, but some of these guys pitting now could be right up against the edge on a fuel situation.
Yep. Yeah, you can bet that they've done the math and figured out the earliest that they'd be able to swap out those tires.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the first that looks like it's come in from a strategy perspective. So let's check in with let's do a little through the field with our GT3s. We'll start with 10th position with them, since there are more of them. And look at this, Anthony James. What a great run for Anthony here. It looks like he's in one hell of a battle. I think that's Chris Hudson in the Mustang right behind him for 11th place. So this is a battle we've picked up on here live. But AJ in the Porsche and Chris in the Mustang, this looks like about a 4-car battle to me, Ryan, here.
Yeah, there's about 5 seconds between them all.
Yeah, all 4 of these guys are battling, but kudos to AJ, Anthony James, for being out there in front of this group. Man, this one is, we're looking at 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th with Andy Banfield, the 13th place car here, with these 4, and they are covered up like a blanket. This is one heck of a little battle here in the field that, you don't always get to know about these battles, but we just sort of happened across this one with 4 of them together, all very equally paced.
Yep. Yeah, your wins and podiums and stuff are great, but it's these battles that tend to keep guys coming back.
It is. It really is. And in fact, I want to, rather than just go up through the field, I want to ride on board here with Chris Hudson as he follows AJ. And not only are they battling hammer and tong as we ride along here with Chris in this Mustang, they're also having to work their way through the GT4 field at the same time, Ryan, and the GT4 cars are having their own battle.
Yep, and with CMS rules, even the faster class, or the lapping car, as it were, still has to respect the the cornering of the car that's in front of them. So they have to achieve a side-by-side position, getting that front tire level with the other driver's head before they start to turn in, or they have no right to be beside them in that corner at all.
Yeah, they really don't. And by the way, as we ride along here with Chris for a minute, I'm going to stay with him for just a second because it's kind of worked out. I think it's a good opportunity to talk a little bit, Ryan, for just a moment about what VPG Sim is doing with us and Manny and his team over there. So for those of you that aren't in the know or aware of them, be sure, of course, first of all, check them out at vpgsim.co.uk. They are a what I call a premium, and Chris is into the pits here. It looks like he's probably coming in for the tires. Would that be your? I didn't see any issue. It looks like this is standard service, Ryan.
Yeah, he's still on wet, so we'll see if he swaps here.
We'll kind of just sit here and watch him, and I'll tell this little story. But what VPG does, and I think it's relevant to this Mustang in particular, they manufacture the real steering wheel for this Mustang GT3 race car that you see right here. So we're looking at the sim version of it, but they actually manufacture the wheel that you see in this car that you see that Chris driving, as well as the real-life counterpart. They have re-engineered the real wheel for sim racing. It's using the same molds, all the same materials, all the techniques. It's a championship-winning wheel, and they are, of course, they make a variety of products and a variety of wheels, but this is kind of a differentiating product that they've brought to market. And the good news, to make things even better, Ryan, is they're going to give away coupons for 2 heavily discounted wheels to participants in this series. So some of these guys are going to get the opportunity to get one of these things, which I think is just incredible.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's an incredible value for a really premium wheel. And yes, I'm showing Chris Hudson has switched to dry tires, as has most of the field at this point. There's still a few people that haven't come in yet, including our leaders in GT3. Have all stayed out so far.
It actually looks like Miguel Alcrudo has come in because he's dropped down to 4th position. I show that he was in the pits for about 48 seconds, so you'll have to tell me here if he is on the tire. And it looks like the 3 ahead of him though have not yet pitted, and this is our new leader, Christian Youngwall here.
Yep. And you are right. Miguel Alcrudo did go in, and he did swap to those dry tires.
Yeah, and I see one GT4. Arthur Jaworski has not yet pitted, and he is in P2. But I believe that is circumstances of him still being out on the wet tire. But other than Arthur, who is the lone GT4 car, we have 4 GT3s who have not yet pitted, and that includes these leaders. So, Ryan, I think we need to stay with, or 5, I should say. Andy Banfield, and it looks like some of them are coming to the pits now. So here they are. Looks like pit road all of a sudden got busy. You know how race car drivers are. They're monkey see, monkey do, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So 3 of them on pit road here. This is Wanchi Rakina, who were looking at taking tires. But up front, Miguel Colon, John Majorbanks coming in now. He was one of the last ones not to pit. Christian Youngwall is coming down pit road. So the only one left, this is Christian, who we ride with. The only one who has not yet pitted is this man, and that's Miguel Colon. Let's see if he comes in this time, Ryan. I've got to think he's going to have to. I'm thinking, a lot of these guys, either of their own smartness or they've got friends helping them and teams, and they've done the calculations and they've figured that they can make a faster lap time on a dry tire.
Yep.
In fact, yeah.
on these wet tires, like I haven't done the math, but they've got to be losing time compared to the people on the dry tires.
Well, and to give you an idea, Miguel Colon's last lap time was a 124.7, and Miguel Alcrudo, who has pitted, was 4 seconds faster.
There you go.
So let's see if he comes in here. I've got to think he's coming to the pits. No, he's not, Ryan. He's staying out. Are we sure Miguel Alcrudo is not already on a dry tire?
Miguel Alcrudo is on a dry tire.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Miguel Colon.
Not.
So Colon...
Yeah, he's on wets. Has not pitted yet.
So this is interesting. He is the only one that has not yet pitted in the entire field. He's leading the race. He's on a wet tire. We're going to look at some lap times. Here's Miguel Alcrudo behind him, back up to P2. And I'm looking now, really the difference, Ryan, is not as... a wreck right in front of us here. That's Anthony James and Miguel Alcrudo wrecking.
Ouch.
Oh, we got to go back and watch this. I'm rewinding just physically here. What in the heck happened?
Do we have to? I don't want to see that again.
Poor AJ, just made a mistake there.
Yeah.
He just made a mistake, and boy, the way he hit the car, I hope Alcrudo, or Anthony for that matter, doesn't have a meatball where they knock the toe out of that car.
Yeah, you can easily take some heavy suspension damage from a hit where they contacted there.
We're going to watch and see if the car seems to be driving straight. Let's get on board with him here.
See if he's got one hand down. No, it looks pretty straight.
He seems okay.
He survived that one.
He seems okay. So maybe a better example, since he did not have a good lap there. So this is Miguel Colon. This is the leader of GT3. Last lap by ran a 124 on that wet tire, okay? The next car I see that had a flying lap is this man, Ricardo Delgado, ran a 120.7. So he's losing 4 or 5 seconds a lap. Now, I suppose maybe there is a situation. No, I can't imagine there's a situation where he thinks he can make it on fuel.
Not for a 75-minute race, surely.
No, yeah. I think that he's just made his decision and he's going to stick with it, right?
And even like with 4 seconds a lap, you got to think like.
And here he comes. That's the end.
Anyway.
Yeah, and that's the end of that. That's the end of that conversation. So he went a few seconds longer. Oh, he hit the wall, Ryan, coming into pit road.
Ooh. Twice.
What the hell happened? Let's see if he stays here any longer. We're going to stay with this man.
I wonder if he cooked those wet tires. They do not like driving in the dry.
No, they don't. We're gonna get up close here if we can. He had to back up. He's having a horrible. It took a fast repair. But what a comedy of errors here from someone we would not expect to see it from. Taking service. We're going to stay with him here just a minute, folks, to see if this is just going to be a regular stop. I got to think it will since he took a fast repair. Yeah, and here he goes again. What I want to see here now, Ryan, is where does he end up when he comes out? There goes Alcrudo, I think, around him. Or that might have been Arendis, actually.
Yeah,
Crudo's
you're right.
teammate. Yeah, it sure was. That's horrendous just ahead of him. So he's going to come out in
Puts
sixth.
Miguel in P6.
Yeah, he comes out in P6. That's not too bad. So I think things have cycled. So let's again kind of pick up where we left off before all this got exciting. We just kind of try to call this, guys, as we see it. But our 10th place car now is Chris Hudson. So let me get kind of some close-ups of these cars, and we can watch them as we talk about them. So Chris Hudson in the Mustang is in P10. Just ahead of him, it's still a really, really tight battle. You can see it here happening live. And, man, is it tight. He's going to make the pass, actually. This is 9th place. He's going around Rick McClure, and they're, good Lord, they're all over each other.
Whoa, that was close.
Lap car in the mix. Rick manages to stay out front. So every time I try to go to the field and Chris Hudson's involved, we can't get off of it. He's in such a battle that you got to watch, right? So here they are. That's 9th and 10th, 3 wide behind them. So, not for lack of some great racing going on here. And I think what we're dealing with too, Ryan, is, they're getting down pretty close to dry lap times now. I know enough about this track and a GT3 that a dry track lap time is about a 18 to a 20.
Yep.
And they're getting close to dry lap time. So we've got Rick McClure in 9th. Up the road a little bit in the S's is Jose Diolio in P8. P7 is this man, Carlos Ramos. Has had a quiet night. We've not talked about him much, but sometimes those are the best nights where he is sneakily having a really, really good run. P6, going around some GT4s here now, is Miguel Colon. And he is right on the bumper of P5. This is Armando Arendas. And I'm probably goofing his name up, so Armando, I apologize. But I'm doing the best I can. You'll have to correct me on that. But this is a battle here for position for the top 5, Ryan. Look, a car off ahead of him. Into the wall and crashed. Oh, and then Miguel's off.
Oh, my goodness.
I think they're still dealing with turn 1. But look, we've got to see what happened here just now. I think that's worth going back to. That was David Kaufman. Actually, this is David. David had a spin of his own. That was a separate issue. It was right here. Oh, big hit, Ryan.
Yeah, I see the drivers trying to avoid him behind. Might have thrown him onto the wet section of the track.
Yeah, this is Rafael Sosa, and man, let's watch this one more time. Look at how he pounds the wall.
Yeah.
And just, that car's destroyed. And it was so, he couldn't even control, it comes shooting back across the track.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
then,
what you don't want.
No, he's out of control of his machine there, just trying to slow it down. And he's had to sadly take that thing to the pits where he's getting service. So we'll go back to where we were. That's this battle here of Arendas and Colon. Delgado up a little bit ahead of them. That's this Corvette. The Corvettes seem to be doing really well tonight, Ryan. I guess that's a good rain car.
Yeah, they like to hang the tail out a little.
Look at this
and
battle.
We have the Christmas sweater in shot here.
Yes, we do.
Of Pierre Robitaille.
There he is.
One of our favorite liveries of all time.
Yeah, Pierre, and here he is in 19th position, driving that Mustang. Looking solid. He doesn't need a sponsor. He's just got Christmas. So we did not go all the way through them. Not much has changed up front. We've got John Majorbanks here in P3. Coming over the hill. Up a little further is Christian Youngwall, about 5 seconds behind This is Christian here in this purple Acura, and Miguel Alcrudo is back to about a 5-second lead. So I think what we need to do is go back and check here on our GT4 leader again. It's been a little while since we checked in on him, and he continues to, I mean, at this point, I may have this wrong, Ryan. I'm curious what your timing's showing, but I think he's got about a 30-second lead over second place.
That's, yeah, I'm showing 33, 34.
Yep. The biggest battle is actually in GT4. Let's focus in on a couple of battles, and we've got a hell of a battle right here. This is Christian Rava and Mike Tyler, and I actually have something I can contribute to this. So Mike is a teammate of mine, and this is Mike leading Christian. And last week I ran with the group at COTA, and I had an incredible battle with Christian. I mean, it was just like this, like you're seeing right now, the entire second half of the race. And oh, Mike, stay on your line here. Good patience here shown by the GT3 to wait on these guys, knowing that they're battling. A car off and round in front of them too. But what I was going to say, Ryan, is last week I had a tremendous battle with Christian, kind of like what we're seeing him and Mike have here now. And of course, he ended up beating me, and I never could get around him. But I was on his tail for second half of the race, really the entire time. And Mike says to me on the radio, he says, "Oh, I had a similar race with him at Daytona." So here they go again for part 2 of their battle, and it looks like they've picked up right where they left off at Daytona.
Yeah, I love these friendly, long-term or repeated battles that we get at CMS with when you're racing the same drivers every week. You get to know them, you get to know their styles, and you get these little friendly rivalries that pop up like this. It's great.
You do. And by the way, kudos to, well, they're back together again. Now they're side by side. Here they go, side by side down the hill. Kudos to both of them for maintaining their composure there. As it never fails. You're in a battle like this, and it feels like the entire GT3 field went around them at the same time. So heck of a battle going on in here. And Ryan, we said we were going to check in. Guess what? Look who's up into the top 15. Tim Collier's in 14th place.
Right on.
And Tim having he's getting lapped there. That's the leader going around him. But Tim is in kind of on an island, about 9 seconds to the next car, if I'm looking at this correctly. Yep, he's about 9 seconds to the next car, but he is he's hung in there, and he's pulled this thing back up into I'm now showing him in 13th place.
Yep. Yeah, he started in I think P7, and so he's only 6 spots back from where he started, which is fantastic. It's an excellent recovery drive.
Another battle here, our friend Bobby. I'm seeing a little bit of light flashing, but Bobby B here, and wanted to say he was in a battle. I thought he was. It may have been some pitting happening. It looks like he's more by himself than I thought he was. But in 17th place, up the road just a little bit, is Anthony James. So Anthony, this is that battle. It's actually pretty dang close. And that looks like a lap car they're going around, if I'm not mistaken. It sure is.
Got a message in the chat here from Humberto, and he says he compliments us on our commentating, that he shared with us that he had a disaster of a start because he started with dry tires. Had to pit and change, and then tried to get back. Felt like I was flying, but got 1 second of distraction and ended my race. Still rusty, but great to be back. Well, it's great to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, and sadly, that's Humberto Roca. He finished in 34th position overall, 23rd in class, and but that is certainly a rare rarity. And also, Humberto, it's good to have you back too. Just like Miguel Alcrudo, sort of think of you guys together and some of the pioneers of our South America and Latin America, community that we so adore here at CMS. So it's great to have you back out here. We know you'll bounce back and have a great race. Speaking of which, Ryan, I was going to look here real quick and just give the viewers an update as we. Before I do that, we're on with Anthony James. Let's go back. I want to go back and put the view on Miguel Colon here, because he is battling pretty closely with Ricardo Delgado and Armando Arendis. So we'll kind of watch these GT3s. But I was going to pull up a schedule of when you and I are going to be back out here so we could let people know. And I think I have that, if I can find it. Yeah, I found it here. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I think we'll be back next week. June 4th, does that sound like next Wednesday? I think it is.
Yep, that's next Wednesday.
Yeah, so we'll be, that is God willing, of course, for both of us. We will be here at Sebring. That'll be the next race. That'll be a really good one. It looks like that race is forecasted to be dry. And then I will get the pleasure of racing 2 events in a row, so you won't see us again for a little while as the series goes to both Long Beach and Road America. I will be racing with the Longhorn Racing Team, but we'll be back. The way we've set it up this year is with VPG being so kind to do a sponsorship. We wanted to make sure we gave them some airtime and and the series some airtime. So Ryan and I are doing about half the races, and I'm getting the privilege of running in about half of them as well. So that's kind of cool.
It's a win-win for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things we like to do, Ryan, is we've got about 20 minutes left before we focus on the leaders in both classes for the rest of the night. Let's talk about some of the guys who, probably would not normally get some airtime, but we're going to give them a little bit. So I'm going to pick one in each class. We're going to start with GT4. This is Leonard Burke, who we ride along here with now. Leonard has not had the best of races. He's been on pit road a couple of times, has lost a few laps, and struggled there early with the weather. But he's getting valuable seat time in this Mercedes GT4. Leonard is going to be running on the Champion Motorsports iRacing 24 Hours of Nürburgring team. And so I had the pleasure of running in a race with him a week ago where he and I ran a tune-up for that in this car, and he did really, really well. Was really impressed with his car control and his racecraft, and so seeing him out here, even despite kind of a tough start to the race, he's stuck with it, Ryan, and I think that's something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
So good to see him soldiering on. And then I'm sure I'm going to butcher the name here. And Ryan, you'll have to tell me if you know this man, but Guillermo Seguinza? I don't know that I could say that I know Guillermo real well in P20, but we'd like to learn a little bit more about him. I know I would. Do you have any context on looks like he's got SimCube as a sponsor on his car?
Yeah, I can't give you a lot of context. He's been with CMS for a couple of years, but he's been pretty quiet. So hopefully see a little bit more interaction from you, Guillermo. But if not, hey, that's fine too. If you want to just show up and race, that's totally what we do here.
Yeah, and Guillermo running in 20th place right now, and just a beautiful livery here. He is driving well. I'm looking at his lap times, and they are solid and consistent. about 2 laps down, but in a battle with a couple other cars. Actually, about 4 or 5 other cars. So some positions to be gained, and those are the kind of things we like to make sure we draw attention to. It's not just about the guys up front, because if so, we'd end up just talking about very few guys. But we like to make sure that we get an opportunity to talk a little bit about everyone. So, Ryan, we just came to an hour, 15 minutes left, so I think it's time to check in on our podium drivers in both classes. Let's start with GT4. Here he is. As steady as she goes, right? Kevin Ayers in 3rd place in GT4.
Yep, holding a real steady line.
Still wet, too, you can see.
Yep.
Headlights have come off, though. There's enough sun out, and even though it's late in the day, boy, Kevin, I've got to go out on a limb and say that, early on, I know, there's some stiff competition in this GT4 class, but I think Kevin's got a championship caliber outfit together, and I'm certainly going to be pulling for him to be in contention for that. He's going to have to deal with the likes of Mark Johnson and JT Tammy and Brian Blanchett and Zach Sternhagen and a bunch of great racers every week. But if he could just kind of stay steady and kind of be in that top 4, top 5 podiums like he's been doing, I think he's going to have a terrific season.
I agree. He's been looking great out there.
He really has. And then Mark Johnson ahead of him here. They're pretty spread out, to be honest, here in GT4. It's been a little bit of a no man's land for them. They're dealing with a lot in these cars. The traffic, the cars are a little bit different. You've got to drive them. You could see it's very intentional the way you drive these cars, especially in these type of conditions. But Mark is always a front runner. It's just that simple. He is definitely, I'd say, of the Longhorn Racing guys, he is definitely kind of the leader of the pack with regards to the talent level. And anytime you find him, and he has to race part time due to his work schedule, but when he's here, he's up front.
Yep.
And then of course JT Tammy. And what more do we say here? I certainly don't want to jinx him, so I just won't say it. I'll just I had a thought, but I'm just not going to say it. But he is in the catbird seat here right now, looking really, really good, and has really been from the drop of the green flag. He started from the pole, if I remember correctly, and just pinned his ear back, Ryan, and never looked back.
Yep.
Shout out to him as well. A lot of the cars have VPG on the windshield banners. That's a requirement for the giveaways contest, but JT has taken it a little bit further, and he's actually got it on the hood of his car. So he's definitely given VPG quite a bit of nice exposure. I'm sure they love seeing that logo on the front of this really, really quick Cayman.
Yep. His talent may be enough to net him one of those coupons, and the banners is just great to give back to our sponsor.
Yeah. So we'll turn our attention back here to the top 5 in GT3. We've got about 10 minutes left in the race. This is Mikel Cologne in the Merc here, and looking good as usual. He, I have to say, Ryan, I really don't think that strategy hurt him that much. I don't know that Miguel had more than about a 4th, 5th, 6th place car tonight, and so I don't think that hurt him too much with him staying out a little bit longer.
Yeah, he held it together very well on those tires.
He did, and they are racing like maniacs in front of him there, just in the field. So he's got to be careful. John Majorbank's just a little bit ahead of him. So and John is actually, I think this is for position. Actually, this is John and Ricardo Delgado. This is the most exciting battle on the track right now. This is for a podium, guys. This is Delgado in the Corvette leading, and Major Banks right on his tail. Let's get on board here with Major Banks. Excuse me. With Major Banks as he follows Delgado just ahead of him here. These guys are going 10/10ths right now with what the track conditions will allow them to. They're going for it. And it looks like these are lap cars that are going around, if I'm not mistaken, Ryan. I think the leaders are up just a little bit further.
Yeah, this is both a risk and an opportunity for both drivers to either get ahead and stay ahead, or get boned by the traffic and have to slow down.
Wow, look at it. They're going to send it down in here, get around 2 GT4s. Wow. There's debris all over the track. Does he have a run here?
He's really close. It's going to be hard to get
any and Ricardo defends. Oh, they're wrecking.
Oh no.
They're both off. And look who's coming to the picture, Miguel Colon.
Well, how you doing, Miguel?
Oh, all of a sudden a race broke out, right? Sorry to Miguel and JT. We just can't give you guys any coverage. You're too boring. We got to stay with this. Now we've got a 3-car battle. Like you said, risk and reward here. These guys have got to make that decision to stay within themselves or not, because you put a wheel off wrong like they did. It could have been a lot. They actually kind of got lucky there, but you go to crashing here, and all of a sudden, you go from a third, 4th, 5th place finish to a 15th place finish, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at Miguel going to the inside. He gets around him. What a pass. And that is, it takes guts to go through there. That, it's blind. You can't see. It's the fastest part of the track in a lot of ways. And it looks like this is John on the inside going to battle back. Boy, John's got to be frustrated here, Ryan, because I think he was a little bit faster than Ricardo. He got up on Ricardo. They made contact. It sent them both off into the grass, and then all of a sudden he goes from that situation to allowing Miguel into it. And man, look at this. Oh, there they go.
This is like a swarm of hornets.
Yeah, he goes around.
Oh no.
Major Banks goes around. I think this is just a case that you and I are seeing here of just pushing a little bit too hard, right?
Yep. And you make, you have that one off, and then, you got that. Your brain just goes to, maybe let's push a little bit harder to make up the time I lost, which is almost always the wrong thing to do.
It does. It does.
I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I know that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, and I think John, in his defense here in this Acura, he's coming to the pits, Ryan. I think he's got a problem.
Oh no.
Oh man. Bless his heart.
It's not the way you want to end your night.
No, it really isn't, because I think he had a pretty damn good car and drove a terrific race. So, John, our condolences. I think it I could see there's something going on underneath that car. He's got you know what I think it was, Ryan? I think he got an incident penalty. He did a drive-through there.
Yep. I should be able to confirm that here.
And look at this. Look, that's Tim Collier, by the way. Tim is a lap down, but Tim has got this car back in 12th position. What a great drive for Collier on a recovery drive. Now, Tim, if you could just quit having a disaster at the beginning, I think you might be contending for some top 10s.
Oh no. Yeah, I can confirm John Emergery-Banks has just over. He's got 23 incident points, and the limit was 21, so he would get a drive-through penalty for that.
He went to, yeah. So the battle here is still pretty close. This is Cologne, and just ahead of him is Delgado. This is the closest battle we have. About 4 minutes left. I'm going to come back to this here in just a second, but I do just really quickly again just want to check in on the GT4 leader. And just as steady as it gets, JT Tammy, no issues here for this guy. Let's kind of look top down at him for a minute as he goes around. Just what a beautiful property. Have you ever been here in real life to this track, Ryan? I have not.
I haven't either, but it's definitely on my bucket list.
Me too. I would love to go to the Petit Le Mans. They've got some great classic shows here. JT has just driven a terrific race. I just can't say enough about how well he's looked out here tonight. And as much as we've talked about Miguel Colon, who we'll go to here now, I think JT has arguably driven a better race.
Yeah.
He's just really just kind of the driver of the day, I think, definitely is JT Tammy, for sure. But, I mean, Miguel Colon, what more do we say? We just sort of happened upon him making a comeback tonight, watched him in qualifying, and Ryan, he hasn't put a wheel wrong all night. He just hasn't.
Yep.
And so he's got a 9-second lead here. He's probably getting pretty close to a white flag. I'm guessing that he's got about 2 laps to go here. Let's just take a lap with him here. Tell you what, I know we had a little bit of a technical issue. I'm glad we got it resolved, but when we had it's worth going back and watching almost. His qualifying earlier tonight was, I mean, man, you want to talk about razor sharp edge. I was blown away by how talented this man is, Ryan. I mean, the car control is just impeccable. I mean, he's smooth. Oh, look at this. Close to a car coming out of the pits. But, you and I watching him fight that wheel in those raining conditions to put that car on the pole was... I'm just without words how cool it was.
Yep, absolutely.
So is your data telling you, I think he's going to take a white flag this time by?
Yeah, I think we're a little bit behind the
Oh, we are
line,
usually, yeah.
but yeah, we're getting there. Could be a couple minutes yet. If your timing is accurate here. I think it is.
Yep. So we'll take a look at the flag stand here and see what we see. Yeah, flagman's waving a white flag there, I'm pretty sure. So he should be just about done. I'm going to again check in on the GT4 leader. Looks like he's going to take his white flag as well. By the way, Ryan, I am showing Kevin Ayers has slipped to 5th position.
I'm not sure when that happened.
I'm not either. I'm wondering if he had to make a splash and go. But that's him just ahead of JT. So he obviously had some sort of an unexpected pit road issue. Here comes Miguel. Let's follow along with him as he takes the win. Should be taking the checkers this time by. Here he comes. Look at those lights flashing. He's excited.
He's earned it.
There's our winner in first place. Here comes Christian Youngwall above just a few seconds back in P2. Here comes Ricardo Delgado coming around in P3. And let's get on board here with our GT4s. Here he comes. This is JT Tammy in the Porsche. Still trying to avoid trouble. Coming around to take the checkers here, Ryan, in the GT4. This is what a dominant performance by this guy. JT Tammy, congratulations. Here comes Mark Johnson. Look how far back second place was here. He's still going down the long straightaway. By the way, I may have misspoke on Kevin Ayers. I'm showing him in third again. That could have just been an error on my part. This is Mark taking the checker in P2, and then Kevin has already finished. So what a terrific race.
Wall-to-wall excitement.
Yeah, time flew by. I thought I was a little concerned, thinking it was going to be slow for us and we wouldn't have anything to talk about tonight, but good Lord, we were busy from the moment we got on the air. So, if we take a look at things, I think just you and I doing our little wrap-up here, I think some continued, really good performances from the guys up front that have been running there. Mikel Alcrudo has not been running. I want to say that was his first race of the season. I may have that wrong. But Christian Youngwall finished P2 tonight. He came in tonight in fourth place in points, so he's definitely looking like he'll be a heavy contender this season, Ryan. Your thoughts there on Christian?
Always a solid contender. Yeah, even in this tough crowd.
Yeah, a couple other notables. Jose Diolio came in P3 in points tonight. He had a really good run, but it was only good enough for 8th place, so... that was, I'm sure he would have liked to have done a little bit better, but I think Miguel Colon will likely leave here out of Road Atlanta with the championship lead when things settle out in GT3. As far as GT4 goes, I think he probably did well enough. Kevin Ayers, he did, if my data, this is unofficial, but if my data is correct, he did bring that car home in P3, which would be his third podium in a row. So I think he is going to be in a good spot as well, probably lead here the championship leader too. What more can we say about Kevin that we haven't already? But super impressed on my side.
Yep, ditto.
And, JT Tammy he was only 4 points back coming into tonight, so we could actually see JT move into that first place position because the first place race points pays a little bit more. The only other one that I'll note of interest was Drew Lidke. Drew came in third tonight in points, but didn't quite have the run that he wanted to. We saw Drew with some trouble and was only good enough for a 9th place finish tonight. So, even though it was a top 10, that's got to be disappointing for Drew. And Ryan, I know you've spent a lot of time with Drew, and you guys have been teammates in the past. What do you think he's thinking right now? It always seems like such a positive guy to me, but curious
Yeah.
How he.
Oh, Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew's a fighter. He'll be back. He never stays down.
Yeah, never stays down
So
for too long.
he's already working on the next setup for the next race, I guarantee you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the schedule this year takes us or not to Motorsports. I'm going to look here real quick, but I sure hope it does because I always really enjoy watching Drew run there. It does not look like we're going to be there this season, but he is just so good at that track, that Canadian track, home track of his, fellow Canadian of yours.
Yep.
Which maybe I'll end on that. Have you ever been to the Motorsport facility, Ryan? If not, you need to get out there, I would think. How far is that from where you're at?
About 4 days.
By bicycle, right, or foot?
No, no, by car.
By so you're one side
Yeah.
uh, of the country to another, right?
The nearest racetrack to me that isn't some dirt strip is about 600 miles.
Yeah, well, maybe we need to petition to have one built near you, right? And
Eh,
it's only
I
money,
don't know.
right?
I don't know, for it, I can donate $10.
Well, I tell you what, guys. For those of you that tuned in either live or on our replay, we thank you for listening to us talk here tonight. We really, the two of us, enjoy doing these quite a bit. And, Ryan, it never fails to disappoint, right? You and I come in here, we don't have anything scripted, and we just sort of go where it takes us. And there's always such a great race that these guys put on. It's just amazing.
Yep. I always feel like there's so much more we could have talked about.
I do too, and I know we can't get to everything, but I think what we are able to cover is just I'm on the edge of my seat the whole time I'm talking about it. I really, really, these guys put on such a great show, and it's just such a tremendous community. So, all right, well, as we wrap up here, and before we say goodnight, just a quick couple of tidbits. We will be back next week for Sebring. That will be a 60-minute race, and then we will be out for a couple. And yours truly here will get the opportunity to race with these guys. And then we're going to be back on June 25th as the series goes to France and some races in Spain. So we're going to see some new tracks, which I know both of us are super excited about. So, Ryan, before we wrap here, anything else you want to say?
Just echoing what you said about this being, such an exciting series so far. Like CMS never disappoints, and this Wednesday series in particular always brings out, some of the, best and veteran drivers that we have to offer. So super duper duper looking forward to covering the rest of the season with you when we get a chance to broadcast again.
Yeah, you and me both. So, well, all right. Well, for Ryan Thompson, this is Dave Anderson. We will wrap up tonight by again thanking everyone who tuned in. We'll also thank everyone who participated in the race. And last but not least, we will thank our tremendous sponsors, simrace247.com and VPG Sim. Check out these two wonderful companies. They've just got great things to offer, and we want to get the word out on them. So for Ryan again, this is David. We will say good night, and we will see you all next time.